So, Street Talk time. We are going to be talking about 5-6-ish storylines this week. Starting off with the Carla and her mysterious visitor last week. We searched the Carla storyline. We certainly learnt a lot more about her this week. The Scot from the Squat is what I'll call the storyline this week.
That kind of reminds me of Scott's tots from The Office.
Oh my gosh. Brought it all back. We had a bit more of Yaz fighting, a little bit more of Dan in the dumps, which is how Daniel's feeling a bit miserable.
Dan in the dumps.
Isn't it?
That's very EastEnders storyline title.
I thought it sounds a bit more Neighbours to me. Let's get this show on the road to recovery. She's back next week, back on the street, so Dave's been making his preparations this week. We've had a bit more of the Imran and Laura and Rick Neelan storyline at the beginning of the week. I'd call that this week Laura, Lawyers and Liars. And finally, we had a little bit of return to the Nana Romancer storyline with Evelyn and Arthur. They had a little date tonight, the trivia game.
Oh dear, it didn't go very well.
Well, it was all right.
It was all right in the end.
They didn't end up in bed together, but...
Gosh forbid.
Right, what are you doing?
Forbid.
What are you doing on that iPad there, Gemma? Just about literally...
Who do you want to start?
I'll start this,
Go on then.
But
Michael, you don't need an audience. You've already got one.
Yeah, but when I'm doing my bits on the podcast and you start fiddling around on the iPad, it feels like I'm going on a tightrope over the Niagara Falls. I'm just going to fall off and you're not going to be there to catch me. What are you up to anyway?
Just looking at outfits.
Don't look up fashion.
Why?
During the podcast.
What I like. I'm a great woman.
The Scot from the Squat.
Oh wow, you're so great. This is brilliant. I'm engaged with this.
Shut up. We last left.
You spelled Chelsea wrong.
Have I?
Yeah, it's got in the show. It's got a Y on the end, not an A.
Whatever. Chelsea was last left with Carla confronting her in the toilets last Friday.
Oh yeah, that was really interesting. Am I not being supportive enough?
No, you're not.
You asked for it.
And she'd said, "Oh, you'll never guess who I am."
Oh.
And what we find out is this story that she's made, and we don't know how true the story actually is. I mean, she could be making the whole thing up really about the drugs, I'm not sure. But the story goes that Carla was, when she was staying in this squat last April, I think it was, and when she had a little bit of a meltdown and did a bit of a runaway.
I think you can call it a breakdown.
Yeah, she did a little runaway out the window when Toya was trying to counsel her. She ended up staying with Chelsea.
I think that's rude.
And she can't remember much of it. She said most of it was a blur. And Chelsea says, look, before you left, you flushed some drugs down the toilet. A grand's worth of gear, apparently. And I want it back.
Sounds like the sort of thing that Carla would do.
Why? Is what I want to know. Why would Carla flush drugs down the toilet?
Just to be annoying. She's taking the moral high ground.
I had a look back and a think back, and I'm pretty sure we didn't see this happen.
No, I don't think so.
So it does have a slight ring of retcon to it, and
we didn't see her the whole time, did we?
No, I know. It's one of these things that's like, oh, what was in the gap? It'd be, yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, but anyway, Chelsea has allegedly been beaten up by this dealer. And then Sally comes into the toilet, which breaks tension a little bit. So they head back to the bar. And Peter sees that Carla has come out the loo with this woman and is like, do you know her? And she says, no, I do not know this woman. She hangs around saying that, look, Carla, if you don't pay up, I'm going to tell Peter exactly what Carla had to do to survive on the street. And that put lots of ideas into viewers' heads. And yeah, it did involve getting naked.
Yeah, I think it was obvious what he meant, but it was fun to pretend that we had no idea.
It did. We had a nice thread on our Facebook group, didn't we, about all the possibilities of what Carla had been getting up to during the time.
I speculated that she'd been in Emmerdale.
No, you said Hollyoaks as your speculation.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's more of a druggy kind of...
Yeah.
Isn't it? Well, I don't know. I've never watched it.
My speculation on the Facebook group was that Carla and Chelsea had actually been to bed together. Oh, no, I didn't. I said that Carla had been in bed with Tracy Barlow, is what I'd said. Because, as we all know, Paula wasn't Tracy's first.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of retconning. Anyway, where are we up to? Chelsea makes her excuses and leaves when Peter comes over, and Carla says, oh, I'm feeling lightheaded, I need to go out the back. So Carla tells Peter everything. Well, she didn't tell him everything out there. She says that she says that this is a woman that I used to know when I was away last year. She doesn't tell him about the insinuations that Carla got up to naughty business while she was away, but she says that this woman's come back to haunt me from the past in a dark new storyline. So Peter goes off to find Chelsea and finds her outside and bars her from coming back to the pubs, gives her a £20 note to bog off and start blackmailing Carla. And Chelsea does not seem intimidated by Peter in the slightest, does she? She's been living on the streets. I'm sure she's seen a lot worse and she's been beaten up by a drug dealer apparently. So having Peter come over to you and his new laid-back LA personality is not going to be getting her to sweat anytime soon. So Chelsea calls up some mysterious person on the phone who later turns out to be Jordan the next episode and says, look, you need to come over here and with what you got, that's going to get Carla doing whatever we tell her. Carla overhears this about what Peter's done and she doesn't think it's going to work. She thinks he's actually made things worse by confronting Chelsea about it. She'd slung a rook and it was over as far as Carla is concerned. She's very, very distressed by it all, and that is Carla's main emotion this week, isn't it? Distress, worry, sobbing. She's not finding this week very easy, bless her. She thought that part of her life was over and she turned over a new leaf, new kidney, and no, it's just been dragged back up again. He says he's going to make sure that Chelsea does not come back again. How'd you get on with that, Peter? Let's find out on Wednesday. Chelsea's back, but she's out the back of the Rovers. She's polite and goes in the back way. No, she doesn't go inside, does she? She's there in the smoking shelter, just chilling out because, as I say, she's not intimidated by Peter or anything or anyone. It seems. So Carla says, "Look, if I offer to buy you breakfast in Roy's, can you go away, please?" And Chelsea thinks that's great. So she sort of toddles off over there. Carla goes over and sees Chelsea in the cafe later, and Scott's there. He's not had much to do or say this week, has he? But he's been hanging around listening in on things. And I can't decide. We're still none the wiser about Scott this week and what his relationship with Johnny could be. But I'm also kind of thinking, do you know Chelsea? Do you know anything that's going on with her as well? Because he seems very, very interested. Either that or he's trying to get some dirt on Carla. Or I'm not really sure. But anyway, he's there. Carla leaves. Chelsea gets on the phone to Jordan again and says, I'm about to get chucked out of here, so you better hurry up. So she does turn up later at the Rovers with this Jordan bloke. He runs the squat that Carla stayed in. Carla insists that she owes them absolutely nothing, but he disagrees because he brings up the fact that when they were together, they got to know each other intimately. Now, what did Peter say to that? So they went to bed together, Gemma. Shocking.
Oh.
That is exactly the reaction that Coronation Street wanted when that revelation was, that bombshell was dropped. Carla, she would. Carla says, look, you got no proof. But he gives a pretty detailed description of what Carla looks like naked.
I think this was
her birthmarks and such. And then Liz comes in and the pair of scallies leave. Carla's left pretty shaken by all of this, as you might imagine. So Peter finds her doing some washing up later to rave music in the Rovers' kitchen.
You thought that would bring her right back to her druggy days?
Maybe it's like when Dave was playing Shona sounds to try and remind her. And
yeah, maybe.
Carla's, did I actually do this? So if I play some of this awful music, will I remember?
How dare you say it's awful?
So he says, look, you've been crying, and she says, no, I just splashed water on myself in the washing up, but she does start bawling when he leaves. Jordan comes back again later on, demanding more money again. He's like, look, I've got to pay back my dealer, and I'm not going to leave without getting any money from you. Then Peter walks in to find Carla being intimidated. How will they get away from this? How will they resolve this cliffhanger, Gemma?
I don't know.
Well, she says that he's just trying to find out whether they got a room spare at the Rovers on Friday's episode. So that's it. No, there are no rooms at the inn. So he leaves. In the bar, Carla is fiddling over some...
So distraught.
She's so distraught that she drops a glass and cuts herself on it because she thinks that she can just scrape it up in her fingers. Then she goes into the back and then she tells Peter everything. She's like, that bloke who was here before, I had sex with him.
This is supposed to be a blackmail story, but these are boring. Let's change it.
Yeah, it has changed to something else. Well, I'm glad that they did because I wasn't particularly interested in it. I thought that the way I was kind of going this week with Coronation Street was I was not particularly gripped by Monday or Wednesdays, but I enjoyed it more today when this and other stories changed direction a little bit. Anyway, she's insistent that Jordan didn't force himself on her because Peter's natural reaction is like, oh, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna catch up with him, I'm gonna kill him. Yeah, he raped you, and she's like, no, he didn't. It's starting to come back to me now. I think I consented, and he's like, no, you couldn't have consented. You were
remember.
out of it.
Well, also later on, the guy actually comes in and says that you slept with me so that I would put a roof over your head, which is, you know.
Yeah, but the fact that she was in the middle of a mental breakdown at the time.
My point is that it's not a consensual transaction if one party is holding something over the other one.
Yeah, quite. Anyway, she says, look, I just don't want everybody to find out about this. You know now, but I want to keep it between the two of us, so I need to give him this money. So Peter gallantly offers her £600 off of his credit card. And she
600, not 100.
£600, and she reckons that she can top up the extra 400 off of hers, and then they think we're going to pay it, and that's going to be the end of it. So Jordan and Chelsea come back to the Rovers later. Roy's there too because he's been doing a bit of spring cleaning at his flat, and he's found Carla's Barbie alarm clock.
And a pair of clogs, which seems strangely significant.
Yeah.
Because he was like, these are your shoes. And she's like, these aren't my shoes. So whose shoes are they then? They're not Hayley's.
Maybe Nina is a closet clog wearer.
Maybe Nina secretly wears white.
It might be Hayley's anyway. I mean, Amsterdam, clogs.
You were calling them clogs, but they weren't. They were like platform sandals.
I thought you said they were clogs. Why were I writing clogs here? Did he say clogs? I don't know.
He might have said clogs, but I don't think Roy is the oracle of fashion.
No, that's you, darling.
Thank you.
Anyway, Peter has got to be held back because he is right up for laying this guy out. So Carla can't take it anymore, rings her pub bell and announces to all and sundry all the sordid details, basically.
Guess what? I shagged this guy and he's trying to blackmail me.
Yeah, and then she gets a round of applause from it, because Jordan and Chelsea are kind of caught off guard by this. They weren't expecting that.
They were standing there like naughty school children.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we were going to say that.
God damn it.
So they are escorted out by Scot and Abby.
That's the grand down Swanee.
And
yeah, Abby to the rescue yet again, the unsung hero of Coronation.
We're singing her.
Yeah, sing her praises.
So Peter goes out later that night. He tells Carla that he's got some shifts at streetcars that he needs to do to help Tim out. But as he kind of picks up his keys to go, it looks like he's got other things on his mind.
He wrings his coat in his fists.
And he gets back at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh dear, that's late.
You'd have still been out, Gemma. You know you would.
Yeah, of course I would be.
So Carla's there in the kitchen because she's a secret vampiress.
She's sleeping on the sofa.
Oh yeah, she was.
And he brings a pizza.
He brings a pizza, which cheers her right up.
And then she starts eating it.
Yeah, but not before. She's gone into the kitchen to get some plates or something, and very handily the radio's on, and also very handily announcing that there's been 2 people beaten up on a Scally estate, and obviously the insinuation is that Peter has not been doing his streetcars. He's been out
beating Scallies,
teaching these 2 a lesson. Which does sound like the sort of thing that he might do, but I'm starting to wonder, is that just what they want us to think?
I don't know that it's apparent. It was definitely him.
Oh dear me, darling.
Yeah, sorry, keep me up. I want to know, why is it that they desperately need this £1,000 now when
well, so do I.
Carla supposedly flushed it a year ago?
That's one of my big problems with this story.
That's obviously a load of rubbish.
But there hasn't been any other clues that they're just making this all up. But I am wondering why they waited a whole year. Is Carla that difficult to track down that it's taken a year to find her? I don't get it.
Yeah,
are we supposed to not really? Which is what's giving this story just a little feeling of it's something tacked on. It's dragging up the past. Carla said I thought that was behind us, and I was thinking that about Carla's story now. I don't really need that part of Carla's past to be in focus again.
Everybody on the Facebook page, including me, were saying, oh God, this is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Why is she letting this happen? Why is Carla not just saying, sing your hook? Well,
that's what we've been complaining about all this time, isn't it? For so long, what's going on with Carla? Why she never used to be like this? The old Carla would have, grabbed her by the scruff of the neck and chucked her out of the pub.
I know, but Shannon on a Facebook page was saying that she reckons it's not really, the point of it isn't about the blackmail stuff, but about the emotional toll, and maybe she'll have a relapse. And I think she raises a good point that it must be very upsetting to suddenly realise that you had forgotten something so significant and have it all dragged out, and then you start to worry, like, if I've forgotten that, what else have I done?
Yeah, but
at
the
the same
thing is,
time,
I
we
mean,
still
yes,
don't
she
really
might have a
know.
relapse, and it might. But does anybody want to see that?
No, nobody does. Also, just because he's seen her naked does not mean that they had sex with each other, especially if she was out of her head on drugs. She could have done anything. She could have took her clothes off and fell asleep naked.
Yeah,
And he
I
didn't have
don't
any
know.
proof either. And just because the other thing is, if a man comes into a pub and says, "Give me £1,000 or I'll tell everyone you got a mole on your ass," I'd be like, "Go on then. Who's going to know I've got a mole on my ass? Nobody. Only one person. Well, two, maybe three people. My parents and you know whether I have any distinguishing features underneath my clothes.
I wonder.
You know what I mean?
I was wondering how well he would remember her anyway. A year ago.
Well, so she's obviously a good time.
He saved that one in the old memory banks.
Probably.
For those lonely nights in the squat, he brings that one up.
I was expecting him to have better evidence, like a photo or something.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense that he had no evidence other than he knew where her birthmarks were.
It was a convenient way of getting around that, because I think you'd said before he revealed that, where's the proof? He hasn't got any. And then not long after, he brings that up and you're like, oh, okay. But I just want to know about the proof of these flush drugs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And they're making that bit up. I seriously don't believe that that's the problem, and it's taken them a year and they need it now. Like, what do the drug dealers have, like a year's grace period, and then if you don't give them the money back, they suddenly can't come looking for you? I don't think so.
Yes, it's very reasonable. I know where I'm going to be getting my drugs from now.
Yeah, me too.
What's the name of the estate again? The squat. Do you think any of this was planned a year ago? Because it was under McLeod's tenure, wasn't it? Or was this...
I think it's silly and boring.
It feels to me like it's clutching at straws a little bit. I don't need this side of Carla.
No.
Which is why I'm glad in a way that she did take control in tonight's episode.
That was the only redeeming feature of the entire thing. When she turned around and went, ding, 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 right, everybody, listen up. And
she still wasn't, back to the old Carla while she was doing it.
I wish she had been.
Not everybody would have done that, and the completely pathetic Carla that we've seen recently, I also think wouldn't have done that. So I'm glad that she did, and it wasn't hanging around. And it seems to have turned into something else now, hasn't it? With Peter going off and supposedly beating up these pair of scallies. Dude, what you reckon there? Do you reckon he has, or do you reckon we're just supposed to think he has?
It's if this is just an excuse for another whodunit, then okay, I like those. But at the moment, I'm not sure, really, because...
I don't know whether it can be a whodunit, because there's not many other people that it could be. Scot or Roy. We know that Roy has his violent side, doesn't he? Just ask Gary Windass.
Yes.
The fact... I think that the fact that Peter switched off the radio must mean that he did it, because if he didn't...
No, because
he'd be like, ooh!
No, because he didn't want her to hear anything that was going to upset her. That made sense to me.
I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you. There was enough in that script and the way that he reacted to give you pause to wonder what was the reason why he turned that off.
He just didn't look surprised at all. No, I would have thought that if he didn't know that it had happened, and this is the first he'd heard of it, unless, maybe... Well, then if he was doing his streetcarsing and he'd already heard this news on the radio earlier that evening, so he knew exactly what they were talking about, maybe then, but I don't know.
No, I don't agree with you.
I don't know. I think but I mean, the thing is, if they wanted us to think it was him, even though it wasn't, then they probably would have showed it looking like this. But yeah, the only other option is, say, Scot maybe, or Abby,
or perhaps the fact that they live on a really dangerous estate and they're drug dealers. Maybe it was the drug dealer who wanted his money.
Maybe tonight was the deadline.
They did tell it. They did say that there was somebody after them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess Peter is going to come under suspicion, isn't he? We're going to have PC Tinker knocking on his door on Monday's episode, asking where he was on whatever the day of the week night this was at 2:00 in the morning, and Carla's going to say, well, he was working at Streetcars, wasn't he, Tim? So if Peter wasn't working at Streetcars at all, he hasn't got a leg to stand on.
Well, we know that he was supposed to be working till 12, and then he came home at 2.
Oh, did he say that, did he?
And he
I
it
missed
took
that
him
bit.
2 hours to get a pizza.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe he was
I like
making
his
the dough
story.
himself.
Maybe. I don't know, I just don't think it... Well, we'll see, but I'm interested in this twist, because what I didn't want to see was this just being pathetic Carla.
I did like it when she rang the bell and just told everybody. I felt as though we were still missing fiery Carla.
Yeah, she wasn't fiery enough.
No, she was just, again, just sad. She took control, but she still wasn't. She's still not back to her old self. And I did enjoy Chelsea and Jordan standing there, look like little naughty school children being told off in front of the class. It was another case of, why are they standing there and letting this happen? In real life, you would just go, stuff this, it's not working out, let's just leave.
So, what had your opinions been on those two before that point? Because for me, they were just a little bit cut and paste.
They're really,
bland.
really, just cookie cutter, Corrie scallywags who come and menace people and try and blackmail them for 5 minutes and then disappear and never hear of them again.
Yeah, neither of them seem to have any kind of interesting features.
No.
So, do you think that we will see them again? Are they gonna? I mean,
don't
the thing,
know. I'm not bothered.
One of
don't care.
them could die. Both of them could
Don't
die,
care.
and then the story takes a darker turn. But you're not bothered.
No, I really don't care about this storyline at all.
I'm wondering whether they're going to come back and raid the Rovers or something, just as Johnny and
Get
Jenny
revenge.
return from France.
I just found this boring and frustrating to watch, again, Carla just being dragged through the mud, just crapped on and acting like she's got no agency or gumption. I understand that she has been through a terrible thing and stuff like this changes people and so on, but I just don't see the point of putting it in a soap where you use one of your strongest characters to prove a point about something that people know anyway, and it just has ruined a really good character.
With the with Jordan's blackmail, I was thinking after Monday and Wednesday's episode, Peter isn't. How might Peter react? And I think he probably wouldn't take it too badly. I was pleased to see that
when he
Peter.
found out that
Yeah, I was pleased to see that Peter's reaction was immediately to
that's
hug
what
her
I
and take her
thought.
side and everything. And I was saying, well, what's the point? He's not holding anything against it. It was when Carla said, "But I don't want everybody else to find out." I thought, yeah, I understand that actually. Especially, I mean, she said,
Yeah.
"What would Tracy say?" And I didn't even consider that he might announce it to all and sundry. I thought it would just be telling Peter. But I suppose the public shaming.
Well, she did it herself in the end.
She did, but that makes
Take the
more
power
sense
back.
that she didn't like that. That she wouldn't have liked the idea of that.
The two good things. Well, 3 good things came out of this storyline. The first one was when Roy was protecting her, and she says to Peter, "Go on. I've still got Roy," and Roy says, "Always." That was nice when he was going to look after her. The other thing was just Carla just taking back control and going, "Ding, ding, ding! Listen, these guys, scallywags, are trying to kidnap me, blackmail me, but I'm going to tell you exactly what they're saying so that you can find out, so they can't blackmail me." And the other thing was, is Peter a criminal or not?
I thought that I enjoyed seeing Peter defending Carla as well, because I've always said that they've got brilliant chemistry, I totally believe them and buy them as a couple. But he's a really decent guy.
My problem is now, the trouble with Peter and Carla and the situation they're in now is I just think to myself, what have they got to lose? They're really on the bottom rung of just surviving through life now. They've gone from sort of being respectable, well, from Carla's perspective. I mean, Peter was like a married man with a kid and a house and a business. What's he got left? Nothing. He's a taxi driver. What has Carla got left? She butters buns in Roy's rolls, and now she pulls pints and babysits the Rovers for Jenny and Johnny. She doesn't even have a house. Neither of them have anywhere to live.
That's still better than where she had been before, though. I think she's thinking, I'm crawling my way up from last year, and this is just going to knock me right back down again.
But if Peter, the thing is, if Peter, what's the outcome? The bad outcome of this? Peter gets found out, and the police take him in, and he goes to prison for beating up these 2 people. So what? He's not going to lose Carla over it because he did it to protect her. He won't be in for very long. He'll come out and what's going to happen? They'll go, we can't employ you at streetcars. Well, if you're going to get rid of people that have got a criminal record, nobody can drive for him anymore. It just seems as though consequences have been eroded for pretty much anything that anyone can do on the street now. The only thing that really can get you into trouble is murdering somebody.
Yeah, and even that you can sometimes get away with.
Exactly. Just do you not see what I am saying?
Yeah. I do
Peter
see,
and Carla already have been kicked to the curb, and then you get these two people turning up. What
I did like about it, and you said you didn't like the round of applause, did you? But I did like how the community are rallying around Carla and how they're supporting her and not looking down on her. To be fair, they've all got enough skeletons in their closet of their own, haven't they? I mean, other characters have done a lot worse than sleep with a guy in the squad.
It would have been a bit more realistic if there had been one person in the whole place that went, ooh.
Should have been Evelyn. Because she was right there.
It just would have been funny and realistic if somebody had given somebody else a little sideways look and gone, I guess I'm not to hear that. But instead we got a round of applause for a woman saying, hello, I'm being blackmailed and I prostituted myself for a house. And everyone goes, oh, well done. Like, what are you talking about?
Do you think that this Jordan was the only person that she went to sleep with?
One can only speculate.
I think they should have had Billy there going, yeah, we've all done it, but darling, you remember me when I was going through a bad patch 2 years ago. No, I thought that
I sold the church to some Russians and they still haven't found out.
I thought that the story turned a corner today's episode. I'm now a lot more interested in finding out what's going to happen next week with this. Whereas after Wednesday's episode, I was like, this is doing nothing for me. Literally, I couldn't be less gripped by the story on Wednesday.
Oh no, blackmail.
Now it's piquing my interest a little bit. Enough for me to make it lead story in the podcast anyway.
It did prove like it was nice that we were slightly misled by Carla's reaction for most of the week into thinking, oh God, here we go.
It's going to be one of these stories.
Give you the money and then you're going to go away and come back next week and go, And she even said that in the show, like, what's to stop them from coming back? And when she turned it around and sort of stood up for herself, that was a really good moment.
Yeah. Good on you, girl.
But I still wish that she wasn't just so shattered. And like I said, I understand. She is a broken woman, but where's the entertainment value?
Speaking of broken women.
Speaking of entertainment
Yasmin.
value. So, on Monday, Sally... So, is Jeff moving away or just out of her house?
He's just moving back next door, isn't he?
She tells everybody that Jeff's moving out because he's staying with them at the moment, and that she's had this discussion with Tim, and Tim's told Jeff to go home, basically.
Yeah, we saw that on last Friday's episode. We saw him go home and look at the photo. She
just tells everybody this is what's happening. And she also adds that he is not as innocent as he seems. So she's now become very emboldened with this concept that he's to blame for what has happened to him.
Yeah, she's got that little niggle that she just can't ignore.
And also, we get poor Izzy. Now, I feel like the character of Izzy has just been crapped on by the writers for years now, and this was just another example. And like,
when the whole street turns against Jeff, everybody's giving him dirty looks and everything. Nobody wants to talk to him. His one supporter is Izzy.
Yeah. Now you guys know I'm not particularly fond of Izzy, but I do feel like this was just a really bitchy way to write the character, because she's like, he's so great. Why are you being so mean? And Sally has to snap at her now. Oh yeah, so is that later on when he comes in?
That's later on when he comes in.
Yeah, so she's just like, oh, poor Jeff, I can't imagine. And Sally's like, shut up, Izzy. Tim goes to see Jeff at home, and he says nobody wants to represent him in court. I don't know how that's
I wrote that in the note. I don't know. He's just like, nobody's on my side.
We haven't got very much
money.
Nobody
wants to stand up for me.
And he says, oh, I wish I had money, but you taking it to get married.
No, you have the money, it's fine. I'm just mentioning it, Tim.
I'm just mentioning, I don't know
it's
how many,
like that.
don't know why you need sugared almonds, but okay.
Yeah. The bit about not representing the court, yeah, that is wrong. I don't know what you said. Also, I have to mention at this point, we did make a mistake last week, didn't we?
What did we do?
We said that Leanne's gone back to work, but it was actually Nick gone back to work.
Sorry, yeah, we got told off.
Fan club that it wasn't just she was just gently telling us we maybe misheard it last week.
Yeah.
So if anyone can tell us what Jeff was saying here, you go for it.
Are we also going to mention the stuff about what's going on with the court case?
What
we got? We said, oh, if only somebody could tell us what's going on.
Oh, we got that in the feedback section later. We got
okay, right. So, Tim says, "Look, I'm still loyal to you, Jeff."
Yeah.
Dad, I call you Jeff. Sally goes down the pub, and Jeff and Tim come in, and she's like, I'm not. I'm going. I've got to act on my conscience. This is really awful, really, isn't it?
Mm.
You can't even stay in the same room as your father-in-law.
Mm.
And just as I can't come between the two of you, this is awful. It's pulling the two of you apart. I'm leaving. He's doing a really good job of acting the victim and manipulating people into thinking that he is being reasonable.
Just manipulating Tim.
No, he's not.
Faye
And
as well,
Faye
yeah.
and Izzy.
Yeah.
And he's making a really good show of acting like he's not. He doesn't mind. He understands how everyone feels, and he just wants everyone to be happy.
Yeah.
So if you didn't really understand the situation, you'd be like, I don't believe that. It could be Jeff. He's so reasonable. He's being really nice and giving everyone space.
He's trying to make people see that, but not many people
are
buying.
On some people.
Only a few.
Well, it only needs to work on a few people. It only really needs to work on the jury.
Mm.
Jeff comes into the factory to tell Sally there are no hard feelings and you must sympathise with Yaz after you were in jail yourself, but I've always stuck up for you. And he says something about he says I'm just worried about poor Tim and we both love him so much. This stress is tearing him apart. I just hope he doesn't die of a heart attack because you're being a bitch to me, basically. And he also, this is when Izzy kind of fawns over him a little bit when he comes into the factory. It's like, oh man, Izzy, why are you so useless? On Wednesday.
And Izzy, when she gets a clause into something, she can be quite opinionated, can't she?
Well, yeah, I hate opinionated people. She also spends a lot of her time clutching her hand to her throat in shock and horror, doesn't she?
Yeah.
About hearing how Sally is maligning her poor dear beleaguered father-in-law who's been stabbed in the neck.
I like the bit when she was talking about Jeff coming home and she said something along the lines of, oh, well, I could never go back to the scene of the crime. And I was like, how do you go home every day, Izzy? Because you ran over a poor policeman's foot that time, remember? And
you were taking drugs.
You were taking drugs, yeah.
Naughty. So, on Wednesday, Sally tells Tim, I don't want to fall out with you about this. I'm going to be... And so Tim's like thinking, oh, good, she's going to be on my side. We're going to win her around. But then bloody Faye comes along and sticks her oar in because she finds out that Sally is being mean to Jeff. And also in the cafe, Roy is being very brusque with him, and so Faye's starting to feel a bit like everyone's attacking her granddad, and she goes on protection mode, doesn't she?
Yes.
Jeff tells Faye that basically Sally's kicked him out of the house, and she's like, I don't worry, Granddad, I'll stick up for you. And when she goes outside, she sees Sally out in the street. And she has a go at her, and they all get ushered inside to sort of continue the argument. We, on Friday, see that Imran is still working on the case and tells Alia, just to remind you, shut up and leave Jeff alone.
Because he says he's calling out, he's sent off for his witnesses, or I don't know what the phrase was that he used, but he's finding who's going to be testifying against Jeff. Or no, for Yasmin in court now. Yeah. So really, she needs
to be quiet now.
Yeah.
So she goes, you should ask Sally because she probably could help you out here. I think she's changing her mind about Jeff and she could be an ally. Then we find out that Faye's decided to move in with Jeff to look after him and protect him.
Oh, that could be a storyline title, couldn't it? Hang on a minute, let me just write in a little hyphen between the S and the A and Sally. And now you have...
Ally.
Carry on.
Sally and Abby go to the Rovers together, and this is when Abby later kicks the scallywags out. Tim's still mad, and
Oh yeah, Imran sees them having a little fallout, doesn't he? Tim and
he's
Sally.
thoughtful, thinking, maybe Sally would be a useful witness.
Yeah. So do you think that Sally is going to testify against?
I don't know how on earth she can, because what evidence does she have? I said this last week. All the evidence she has is that up until she got told that Jeff was a monster, she thought he wasn't a monster, and now she does. And really, she's got no evidence. She didn't see anything at the time. She had no inclination. Nobody told her. She didn't witness anything. All that has happened is she heard somebody say something, and she went, "Yeah, that sounds it could be true."
She saw Jeff burning Yasmin's. Was it? It was the clothes in her bag that one time, didn't it?
Yeah.
And Yasmin looking sad about it. I don't think she saw Yasmin trapped in the orangery, did she? You're right. There's
really
very
nothing
little.
that she's seen
it's
that's
very
of
flaky.
any use in a court case. And if Imran really did put her on the witness stand and she was cross-examined, surely
all she can say is, in the last few weeks since that's happened, I've started to
what
suspect
did you
that's not
actually
helpful.
witness at the time that caused you concern? Nothing.
But
At the time when you saw him burning clothes, what did he say he was doing? And did you think that there was anything wrong? No, not really. Just thought it was a bit weird he was burning clothes.
Nobody's really got very much there, have they? I mean,
And also,
Eileen saw him locking Yasmin in the front of the house?
Also, just to point out, if you saw somebody burning someone else's clothes and them looking sad about it, that's just as much evidence that Yasmin was building up resentment against him, which eventually led to her stabbing him in the neck, as it is proving that he was controlling her,
Yeah. Even though it doesn't seem that she can be very helpful, I'm still enjoying this angle to the story.
I also wouldn't put it past Coronation Street to have her on the stand and say stuff and it be treated like it's gospel and bulletproof evidence. I really honestly think that expecting this to be incredibly realistic is a bit setting yourself up for failure.
I hope it's fairly realistic, because they have done very well with this story so far.
It would be good. I guess it would be good if Sally went on the stand and she thought that she had something great, and then who would it be? Defence?
I don't know.
Prosecution basically says. No, it would be the prosecution, wouldn't it? Because they're trying to get Yasmin in trouble.
Yeah.
And they would go, well, that's a load of rubbish. You haven't seen anything. You're just talking nonsense that you heard after the attack, so get out. And then everyone would be like, oh no, looks like Yasmin's going down. But then, Eileen goes on the stand and goes, what about the time that he locked her in a box?
Yeah. I'm enjoying this. I think that the Faye angle is interesting this week as well.
That's a good point.
Although we haven't seen a whole lot of Faye and Jeff over his 2 years in the show,
She definitely loves them.
She does. I think we just have to forget about the fact that we've not seen any of this relationship build up, and
you
then
just have to
assume
imagine how you feel about your own granddad.
Over the past 5 years that she's known him,
nice.
She has. Yeah, he's given her plenty of Werther's originals and has plied her over to his side. I'm wondering whether because it's certainly within Faye's character to, lie about Sally or plant some evidence against her or something.
She's very manipulative.
Yeah.
And she's also another one of these ones who goes on moral crusades and feels as though there are no limits to what you can do to somebody if they're in the wrong.
Yeah, and she definitely believes that Sally is. The fact that the very next day, later on that episode, actually wasn't it? She's decided to move out means that she has well and truly put her flag in Jeff's camp, and she's not gonna.
I would actually absolutely love to see Faye turned into an evil minion by Jeff. I think that would be a really compelling use of her character, and totally within character too, of both of them.
Well, I'm just glad that her character has a use at last after doing diddly squats since she squeezed out that baby a few years ago.
Well, since she supposedly went to go live with Anna and then just came crawling back out of nowhere.
I forgot what I was going to say. Do you think I was wondering how I mean, we know that Jeff is a monster and everything, but does this make him look even worse that he's manipulating his teenage
Well, he
granddaughter,
hasn't actually
or is that
really
just
done
part of the
anything
course?
apart from just say what is actually happening.
He knows what he's doing. He's
I know, but he's right
things.
though. He's right. But the only thing he hasn't said is, "Oh yeah, your mum's kicked me out of the house because I was horrible to your."
It's just awful how he doesn't care about lying or
Well, he just
manipulate.
just
But I suppose
he's
he's been doing it with Tim. So if he's not been honest to Tim, then it's
he
no
doesn't
surprise.
care. He only cares about himself.
Yeah, getting out of this.
I really hope we get to see something of Faye and Jeff together in the house, because I cannot imagine for 1 minute that Jeff wants to live with a teenage girl.
I don't think he'd mind if he thinks that he can use it to his own benefit.
Well, as long as he can do that.
Well, yeah, I think he can.
Will she find something on the computer?
Well, maybe, because we were still wondering a few weeks ago how much deleted are these video clips.
And if Coronation Street wants you to believe anything, it's that small children are very good with computers, and old people don't know what to do with them.
If he hadn't that camera thrown away, if he hadn't thrown away the camera, then I would have thought that she's definitely going to find it. But yeah, I'd like to see this him end up with egg on his face. He's trying to manipulate Faye, but then actually she finds something that swings her back over onto Yasmin.
I think we're all waiting for a moment where somebody finds some kind of incontrovertible evidence that proves that he has done something evil, and we don't know who that person will be and what the evidence is, because there's plenty to find. There's still possibly...
I don't know, is there plenty to find?
Possibly the files on his computer, and also the video he took on his phone.
Yeah, you're right, there is still that.
Thank you.
So, we will see, because I think this is going to be next week, isn't it? Because she was given a week's recess, is that the word? And that was at least a week and a half ago now. And I know, so in old terms of what a week would have been, that should be running out next week. So hopefully this time next week in the podcast, things will have moved forward quite nicely.
Also, I don't know why Imran's doing all this. We're wandering around doing all this hard work. Bloody Paula should stick her neck out and get on with doing this. What's the point of her? She appeared in that one scene and she hasn't been back since.
No.
You think she would have at least had a meeting in the Rovers with Imran and Alia or something?
Yeah, exchange glances with Tracy as she came in.
To Alia.
No.
Give her a wink and a little nod. What are you doing tonight?
Right, Dan in the dumps. What's Dan up to at the moment? Daniel, he's... we last saw him regaling Ken with tales of avocado on Friday.
He's bought a dozen avocados.
Ken's woken up by the beginning of Monday's episode to invite Daniel to a VE Day committee meeting or Rovers quiz night.
And Daniel's like, VJ
Neither
Day?
of which are really floating
VE
Daniel's
Day.
boat.
Do you want to know something really sad?
What?
In the world of Coronation Street, Vera Lynn is still alive.
Oh yes, poor Vera Lynn. Vera.
She had good innings.
I don't know when, I've lost track again where the dates is, but I'm kind of guessing that maybe next week, maybe VE Day in Coronation Street.
I feel this is really frustrating.
I kind of like them to do something, but then if they do, it'll just feel
stupid.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating and upsetting. Like the one time, well, the very rare time that they actually bother to do something topical or
that isn't Christmas or Easter,
and it bites them in the bum.
I know that'll
they're never going to do it again now.
Anyway, Ken is getting concerned about Daniel and thinks he's cutting himself off from the rest of the world. So
You wait till lockdown, Ken.
Oh, I know. So Adam ends up saying, well, look, you can come out with me tonight, Daniel, but then he stands him up over the phone.
Yeah, Adam's like, sorry, Sarah's not doing what she was going to do now, so I'm going to spend time with her, so you dumped.
Yeah, so poor old Daniel had to spend the night talking to a photo of Sinead. I'm surprised I didn't see him in the videos again, to be fair.
They've probably run out of contract on that.
Wednesday, Adam tells Ken about what's going on about the fact that he couldn't go out with Daniel. Now they are worried that he's becoming somewhat of a recluse. So Tracy says, look, we need to force Daniel out of his comfort zone. He doesn't want to go out. You just need to grab him and take him out and get him back into the real world, because this isn't healthy for him.
What on earth would happen to you if I died? Because they're saying, oh yeah, let's get Daniel out, get him out doing fun things that he enjoys. You don't like going out. What would you do?
Well, Daniel didn't want to really do it either, did he?
Yeah,
I
but
just ended
Daniel's
up going
a
to a bar
normal
talking to an
person.
escort, unwittingly.
Daniel's a normal person who presumably enjoys going out drinking and spending time with friends before his wife died.
I don't know what I'd do. Anyway,
We'll have to just make sure.
Daniel and Adam end up going out. There was a funny scene where he turns up that he wasn't dressed properly for this lawyer's do that Adam's taken him out to, but he gets changed and they
I
arrive.
think you'll find it's a lawyer and hookers party.
They arrive at the do, which is at Ray's hotel. And I don't know whether they reference the fact that it is Ray's, but it definitely was because we recognised it. But never mind.
I don't know if they're hoping that it's sort of slightly bland.
It's been long
and
enough
anonymous.
so that we've forgotten that's where it is. Anyway, Daniel's very on edge, and he meets a colleague of Adam who he ends up punching in the boob accidentally.
That was so weird.
Yeah,
He goes to shake her hand and just punches her right in the chest. That's nothing to do with grief or awkwardness.
No.
That's like, you need to go to the doctor.
So he goes off to the bar, and where this chatty girl comes up to him called Nikki, and she sees that he's been looking at a picture of Bertie on the phone, and then she puts her foot in her mouth by asking about whether mum's at home babysitting.
I think I have to
So
just
he's
say,
like, "Oh, don't get me started on this."
I have to just say, if she's supposed to be a professional, because we find out later, spoiler alert, that she is an escort. It would seem to me that you would have limited success picking up men who are looking at pictures of their children at bars.
Yeah,
But
you
maybe
think that'd be like nah?
Maybe they're the ones that are the most desperate for a bit of rumpy pumpy on the side.
Yeah, maybe.
Dunno.
Since this dead Bertie's been born, so that
Oh
had the
yeah,
chance.
exactly. I do wonder, because that would put me, honestly, if I was looking for a date and I saw an eligible bachelor and then I saw him looking at a kid, I'd be like, whoa, bye bye.
Yeah, whereas if he was flicking through Tinder or whatever on his phone.
I'd be like, oh, I wonder if you do a local match.
Anyway, they just end up having a nice evening together, having their porn star martinis on Friday, and she invites him to her room
What is she?
for something else.
I can't remember exactly how she brings it up, but I found it very interesting
What?
about how she sort of
I can't remember.
breaks it to him.
I can't remember the exact wording, but it's something about, look, let me just get this. Let's get the
boring
out in
bit
the
out of the
open
way.
now. Yeah, this is my fee.
What did she say? It's £150 an hour, was
I
it,
don't
or
know.
per night?
I don't know, but he's quite surprised. As was I. I wasn't expecting this.
No, I
Even
wasn't
though
expecting.
Looking back on it, it seems like it was written
I
all
want
over
to
her
know.
face.
No, I want to know who the hell organised this hookers and lawyers party, and whether
This
they
is
knew
why
that
it's because
she
it was Ray's hotel, wasn't it?
Well, she was
Sleazy.
there. She's just kind of like slinking around the bar, and what happened?
If
She said, "Oh, what do you work as?" And are you a lawyer? And she's like, "Oh, something like that or something."
If I was an escort, then I'd maybe go. If I heard that there was going to be a conference full of rich lawyers, I'd be like,
Well-
oh, they might pay me extra.
This is the trouble, because Adam told her that he was like one of the rising stars of the Manchester legal world or something, didn't he? He introduced Daniel to her as some kind of high flying.
No, it wasn't her, was it? It was the other one.
Was it?
I thought it was her.
What did he introduce himself as?
I
Then?
don't remember.
I
don't
think
know.
she should have a go at him for false advertising. He's wasted her time yanking her chain all night long. She could have been going off with Adam. Adam's ripe for an affair. You can tell by the way he's lusting after that Laura girl and perving over little children hanging around outside this list.
Well, it turns out that Daniel's going to be yanking his own chain this evening because as soon as he finds out what Nikki's really like, he does give her a bit of money, doesn't he? Just
That
for
was
her
weird.
time. And then he kind of blusters out, realising that he's made a terrible mistake.
He was doing the male equivalent of the Cinderella shoe, leaving his Cinderella shoes behind. Instead of leaving his shoe, he left a wad of cash. And you just know that next week, this girl is going to turn up on the street with the
Do you
money.
think? You reckon we're going to be seeing her again?
She's going to try and give the money back to him and go, listen, you need it more than I do. You need to spend it on Bertie. Blah, 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 blah.
Do you think
And
that
then-
we're going to see her and she's going to come back and it's going to turn out that actually, yes, she really is interested in him?
Well, yeah. This is otherwise. What's the point of this story?
I'm not sure at the moment. Apart from maybe
Yes.
she is involved in the same escort agency that Jeff was seeing, and I'm wondering whether there's going to be any kind of link there, and she's going to know Jeff, or she's going to know Rachel, is it, that knows Jeff? And
yeah, but he's already explained that. He's already got his alibi for that.
what did he say?
He said, "Oh, Yasmin was so mean, and she made me feel crap, so I went off with an escort."
Yeah, but yeah, I just wonder
There's
whether
no way that's gonna.
Well,
I understand what you're saying. It kind of, yeah, you're blinking it because of the escort thing. Of what benefit would it be when we've already put that bit to bed?
it all depends whether
Just be
Jeff
repeating
revealed anything to Rachel. I don't know. Maybe you're right.
Or what, she's going to turn up and go, "Oh, what, Jeff? Yeah, my friend Rachel told me about you. Are you the one that is coercively controlling your wife?"
Yeah, that'd be very handy.
Oops, I shouldn't have said anything.
It doesn't need to turn into a story. It could just be remember Daniel? He's not been in it much, really, has he? Let's give him a couple of scenes this week.
But why did he give her money? It doesn't make any sense why he actually gave her money, unless she's going to.
I think he's just an honourable / embarrassed guy.
I don't think it's an honourable thing to give a prostitute money when she says that she wants to sleep with you and you didn't realise she was a prostitute. It's like walking into a cafe and someone shoves a sandwich in your mouth and tries to make you pay for it. I think you'd be within your rights to say, "I didn't actually ask for this. I'm going. Thank you very much, though." You won't be able to sell that again. It's got spit on it.
No, I think that Daniel's a decent enough guy, and he just wants to get away. And I think.
Okay, can I just say, for the sake of our marital finances, that if you ever find yourself in a bar being chatted up by a lovely lady, and then she says, "You're sorry, I'm a prostitute. You owe me £150," can you just not give her any money?
I think that Daniel would take some of the blame for it. He's thinking, "Oh, it's my fault. I look desperate. I invited you over." Because he's so down on himself at the moment, he's going to think, "Oh, this is all my fault. I gave the impression that I was."
Well, I don't think we were very clear, because, like, on the Friday's episode, they're getting on really well, and then she says, "Oh, shall we go somewhere else?" And he kind of like looks a bit undecided, but then he says, "Yes, I would like to." So is this just a story where we see that Daniel is determined to move on with his life again with another blonde after his wife's death? Because honestly, I didn't think he had any problem moving on. We've already seen him shacking up with another bird, and she's not even been cold in the ground for a year.
I'm not interested in Daniel having any other relationship with any other woman at the moment. I want him to find a friend. Maybe he can make up with Chesney or something. Or
I reckon they should just cut his todger off. He's not using it responsibly.
I think it's perfectly natural what he's going through, and the fact that he's locking himself away and not wanting to interact with it. That all makes sense, and it's in character. But I'm not interested in the slightest in him having another relationship now. We've already seen it with Bethany. He doesn't need to have somebody all of the time. I'd be quite interested to see the whole single father thing. I mean, Ken, as soon as Val electrocuted herself with a hairdryer, Ken didn't sort of go out on the pool, did he?
No, that was back in the old days when men were respectable.
He gave it a couple of years before Janet came around. Just don't need it. But
he does just seem desperate to fill the hole.
Yeah,
and it just feels a bit disrespectful.
He's not ready to move on. And like you said, she was another Sinead, Bethany alike, wasn't she? He's going to start thinking that she's Sinead again. I mean, it seems to me. I don't know.
I just wonder. And the other thing about this,
and I pity any woman that gets with him at the moment, because he's going to.
What's this
He's going to be going. Nikki. He's going to be going on about her all the time.
The other thing that makes me think that we might
Nikki,
see...
maybe. She could go for a... maybe she's a sort of prostitute who likes a Nicki Minaj à trois. There's a pun. Carry on.
I forgot what I was going to say now.
Sorry.
Oh, the other thing that I think... The other reason why I think we might see Nikki again, apart from the fact that he gave her a bundle of cash, and I think she is also a nice person and she'd want to give it back.
She seemed nice enough.
Is that he never actually told her what happened to Bertie's mum.
No.
And that's going to be a poignant thing that is probably going to bond them a bit more, and she'll be upset. And I think it was very significant that he didn't actually say where Bertie's mum was. And I was expecting to see that scene today where she said something about it, and he had to explain that she was dead. The problem with this
could be unfinished business.
That Nikki's obviously a professional escort, and this is her job. And so I don't imagine Daniel being very happy about dating a professional escort who presumably I presume that she was offering to have sex with him. So she's going to be sleeping with other guys. This is not a relationship that is particularly healthy for Daniel to be getting into, and not one that I can see him spending a lot of time in. So it seems doomed to me. And, Nikki's making cash however she wants to, and what is she... So the only thing I can think of is Nikki decides to not be an escort anymore because Daniel's such a wonderful catch, she wants to date him. So presumably within a month's time, we'll see her buttering barm cakes and Roy's rolls like every other person on the street who starts off doing something interesting as a career and then just winds up working in a...
She's going to be fighting off Chelsea for that position, I think, if I...
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
You reckon Chelsea's going to work in Roy's roles?
I don't know. She seems the type.
They might as well.
And they
Let
just
Shona
do well.
work there, then let anybody, wouldn't they?
Okay, well... I liked the twist at the end of it, but I'm in no way interested in Daniel having another relationship. So I hope it's not going there. Yet I fear it may be.
Well, it seems a bit.
But good to see him have another story again, because I do like Daniel. But he needs to get out of this funk just the same as Carla does, to be honest.
Yeah.
What else did we have this week? Shona, speaking of her. So we find out on Wednesday that Shona's been signed a support worker, which means that if everything goes to plan, she can be moving back onto the street pretty soon. So David goes and tells Audrey about it. They're both chuffed to hear this news. And he's convinced that as soon as she's back on the street and integrated in the day-to-day life of the residents, that it's all going to come flooding back to her and everything's going to be just peachy. Roy has been over to see Shona on Wednesday, and she is apparently very eager to be discharged tomorrow, but he's told that she may never fully regain her memories.
She will never walk again. Remember again.
It's one of those, isn't it? Yeah. This time next week, she'll be
shouting at Lily and Max to get their stuff on for school.
She'll be rivaling Julia Goulding with her knowledge of the Corrie trivia. He recommends that David gives Shona a bit of time to readjust, and he says, look, you just got to be patient with her. But David can't be, because he's so keen to just have everything back to normal. He can't stop, prying, can he? And he's on Friday giving Roy a load of supplies, a load of snacks that Shona likes. I like the bit at the end of that scene where David says to Roy, you're not a hugger, are you? Because you can tell that David... Was that kind of insinuating that David kind of wanted to hug?
That's what I got.
But he knows that Roy isn't like that. David's just really excited and happy that Shona's coming back, and he's convinced that everything's going to be all right soon. He's just being a bit naive about it, really, isn't he? So anyway, that was quite nice. He tells Max about it before the end of the day. Max is being surprisingly pleasant about the whole affair, considering about how vile he was being towards Shona around Christmas time.
What happened with him going off with Marion, and hating them and wanting to live with her?
Oh, I think he just realised that
all the drama that we thought we were going to see.
Oh, I think he thought that he was partly responsible for Shona getting shot in a box or something like that.
I know, but
he's matured.
This Marion woman should be right there going, well, she's gone crazy and this guy's stupid. I want to take my kid back. Or maybe she's
a fair weather grandmother.
I tell you what happened. She spent too much time around Max and she's like, oh God, take this kid away from me.
I also liked at the end of the episode where Sarah gives David a kiss on the cheek. And he's like, you weirdo.
Oh, I love that.
David and Sarah, brilliant. Because there was that scene.
Charisma.
There was a scene at the beginning.
Charisma when I mean chemistry.
There was the scene at the beginning, wasn't there, where Sarah was making their dinosaur chicken, whatever for tea, and they just work really, really well.
They just look so comfortable. I know everybody works really well, and
they have been working together for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of scenes together, lots of stories together, but they bounce off each other just brilliantly.
Also, I think
Jack
Pete
and
Shepherd
Tina
manages to make David seem comfortable around almost every other character.
Yeah, I can't think of many people that I'd say they don't work with David. With me, great. That was it for that story. It's just kind of leading into Shona's big return next week. Any thoughts on what's going to go down there? Is David going to come on too heavy, or...?
Yeah, there's probably going to be a scene where he accosts her in the street and she goes, oh, and clutches her purse, and then he says, oh, I can't believe you don't remember me, and she says, oh, sorry, I just don't, I don't know what you want from me, and runs away, and then she goes home and sits on a bed and closes her eyes and hears the sound of his voice echoing in her brain.
At the moment, would you prefer for her to get her memories back quickly, just so it's kind of everything's back to normal and over and done with quickly, or would you rather it went down the maybe more realistic route? And
Well, I've said before, I think it would be sweet if she actually just falls in love with him again and never regains her memory. But it's kind of unsatisfying and a good ending for a book maybe, but not for a soap.
I kind of just want things to go back to normal.
Yeah, me too. I think we've had enough of this now. It's been going on since Christmas.
I did like how David brought up the fact that it's a bit silly that Sarah and Braveheart are still living there at number 8.
See, another racist comment, because he had haggis written on his forehead.
Oh, yeah.
In my quiz, and now he's being called Braveheart.
He has got other qualities as well, not just being
we were
Scottish.
Watching 70s Coronation Street, and who was it? The guy who was with Stan and Hilda.
Eddie.
Eddie, who called Scotland Porridge Land.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Why do Scottish people hate the English so much?
It is utterly ridiculous that this newly married couple, who have maybe not even had a scene together since they've been married, are still living under the same roof as her brother and her mum.
What is the point of it? Because Adam is a professional man.
I know,
and both
he's a lawyer.
And Imran drive amazing cars. Maybe they should stop spending money on cars and suits and start spending it on where they live.
Yeah, so he's in there. Imran's living
shacked up with Toya and Craig
and Ryan and Alia.
What are you guys all doing? It's like they've all gone into lockdown
and their
not
offices
told anybody.
Still look like a dive, don't they?
You know how like everybody, like some people found themselves living with people that they wouldn't normally, or going back home to live with their families. Like my friend, her aunt was staying with them when we went into lockdown, and she's been living in their house for 3 months. And she was going to stay the weekend. That's what it feels like on Coronation Street. All these people kind of locked in with each other.
Yeah. Well, maybe the fact that David's brought it up means that they will be moving out at some point soon.
The reason is they don't want to make any more sets.
I know. It's
understandable. There's only got a certain number of
sets,
certain amount of space.
There's just too many characters, isn't there?
What they need to do is put a bunch of people into cookie cutter flats and put them all in Victoria Court. And because the thing about all these places is they have the same layout and the same, like when they're installed, they all have the same interior, like kitchen and everything, don't they?
Yeah.
These places. And they just like put a different backsplash in and a different picture on the wall and pretend it's a different flat. I don't know if that would look too weird though.
I think the other problem with Adam and Sarah living there is it feels like the viewers are having to be reminded where they live. Because somebody asked on Twitter this week where are Adam and Sarah living at the moment, and also it's the same with their jobs we were talking about earlier. When Peter was talking about I've got to do some extra work at Streetcars, we were like,
no, he didn't. He said I've got to go do some work over the road, and I was going, where does he work over the road?
There should be at no point in a well done soap opera should regular viewers be asking where does so and so live or where does so and so work.
Yep.
That will only happen if a character is severely neglected.
Yeah.
Or if there's just
the cast is too big.
Yeah.
Which is what the problem
because
is.
Because if I was to look at a list of characters now and you would say, where do they live, where do they work? I do wonder how many of them I'd be able to do.
Not all of them I'd be able to answer.
No, and that's bad.
And it's not as though they've never mentioned it. It's that they mentioned it once, like months ago, and it never came up again.
Yeah.
And even, I would also add another point to your living and working, and that is dating. Because sometimes I can't remember who is supposed to be dating whom. And you would be forgiven to if you had forgotten that Adam and Sarah were supposed to be married.
Yeah, totally. They put people together, or they give people jobs, or they have people move in somewhere just for certain plot reasons.
Yeah,
and
that's the trouble. It's because it's plot driven, and
it's not because those characters go, or
storylines finish, and then the reason that they're there remains because they haven't got a reason to move.
Anyway, do you want to talk about the Laura's, the lawyers and the liars of Monday night's episode?
Laura starts off with a fairly uncontroversial statement to Adam going, Kelly's gone off the rails. I think we've established that from the Netflix documentary.
Not the singer, R. Kelly.
No, Kelly, the girl.
Our Kelly.
He's asking her, Adam, asking about Rick, and it turns out that she's owed maintenance from him.
Yeah, Adam's just schmoozing around Laura, isn't he? And he's just trying to find out anything he can about Rick, and he's trying to ask if he's got a chance with Laura. He's trying to make Laura think that he's interested in her.
Yeah. Kelly shows up and Laura has to force her to go back to school, and then Adam gives her his business card. And then Gary's lurking and confronts Laura when she and Kelly turn up on the street and finds out that they have moved to Inkerman Street, and he's very unimpressed. This was not part of his plan. His plan was, shut up and take my money, go away. And I don't want to ever see you again. And now she's a lot more close for comfort than he imagined.
I'm not sure exactly where Inkerman Street's supposed to be in relation to the other streets in the show,
close
but
enough that
just round the corner.
That bus stop is her local bus stop for school. So within a block or two, can't be that far away. She's got to go to that bus stop.
Yeah.
He's trying to say, oh, you shouldn't be living around here, it's a dive, etc. I'm gonna ask Rick to start giving you the maintenance fees, but he's very difficult to track down. So now Gary is such an idiot. He's put himself on the hook, not only for Oak Hill, which I presume that he wants Kelly to go back to, but it doesn't seem like Laura or Kelly have any intentions of that happening. But he's also now offering to pay bloody maintenance, child support, for this kid that he doesn't even have any responsibility for, on behalf of a man who tried to kill him.
If you kill somebody, if you kill somebody, sometimes there's consequences.
Isn't it the thing?
Even if you bury them.
In China, where if you save someone's life, you're then responsible for them for the rest of their lives.
Are you?
I think so, and that's why a lot of people at the scene of crimes or accidents, they'll just run away.
Oh,
well, that's what I heard. It could be absolute load of rubbish.
So there wasn't much going on here this week, was there? It was only Monday, and it's just more people lurking, basically. I
can't believe that Gary's like, yeah, I'll go make sure that he gives you child support. How much?
He just would do anything that he can to get these two out of his life.
I don't know where he's getting this money from. Because
he's still got
not
Rick's
really
stash.
Sure. Yeah, he's got Rick's stash, but it's a finite amount of money, isn't it?
Apparently not.
And he has still got this stupid furniture business that presumably just about manages to pay. Is Fizz still working there? Again,
there we go. Maybe.
The whole thing's falling apart in terms of logic.
Yeah.
And it's only going to be, it's not going to be very long before it kind of all comes out.
Yeah, and can
I just say, if it all comes out, what happened because of child maintenance fees, I'm going to be absolutely furious because that's the most boring thing I can think of.
Speaking of logic, I think that Gary's playing a very dangerous game here, because eventually, if Rick's body gets dug up, the police are going to be like, well, he's been dead for over a year now. However, Gary's been saying, I've been in touch with him.
Yep. He's really laying a trail.
Yeah, I don't think he's thought of that.
And where, again, we've always wanted this. Where's the money coming from? Which has he got an account? Has he set up a bank account with a different name to provide the money to Laura?
I don't know.
Because when you get bank transfer, it just say where it came from.
I mean, if he's now got access to all of Rick's files and passwords and what have you from the business, then he could be putting money into Rick's account and using that. Add fraud to that as well. He's desperate, isn't he? He's desperate. But yeah, I think he's going to slip up in the fact that he's been saying that he's been in contact with Rick. Although, I mean, I suppose in a soap he could talk his way out of it. Characters have got a really great ability to talk their way out of any problem. So he could just say, "Oh, I said I've been in contact with Rick, but actually I've just been getting texts from him. Oh, I wonder who it could have been that sent them." I don't know, but I hope it happens soon, because, as we've said, this story is dragging.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out how to work out child maintenance.
Well, will you do that? I'm just going to say that the only other stuff that happened this week that I remember was the Arthur and Evelyn stuff. They're having a date. Arthur says it's Evelyn's turn to pay, so she just gets herself a glass of water, and they have some jolly fun time testing each other on trivia in the booth. And then when Carla agrees to buy drinks for everybody in the Rovers after her shocking revelation about what went on between her and Jordan, Evelyn takes that as her cue to say, it's my round again. Oh no, wait, Carla can pay. Again, still,
you don't really get very much from child maintenance.
Well,
it can't. They work it out according to like how much you earn, whether you've got other children, if you're paying for other children as well. If
how much does a loan shark have to pay for child maintenance? Because I hear that they're rolling in it.
Well, the thing is, this is all based on your declared income, which I don't imagine is very high. But and it also depends on how often the child stays with you, I think, as well, how many nights in a week and stuff. But I put in £80,000, and you only have to pay £701 a month. Which the only reason I'm saying that is quite a lot of money, but the reason I'm saying it's not a lot of money is because Gary seems to think that he can just the amount that he's going to pay is going to mean that Laura and Kelly can go somewhere else and live. So it's got to be, rent or mortgage. £700 is not really going to pay many bills, is it? That's my point. Not that £700 is not a lot of money, because it is, obviously.
Any thoughts on Arthur and Evelyn? My thought is, hurry up and get moving.
I thought this was great that Evelyn was being such an annoying old bitch and getting mad about the answers to the quiz and not wanting to put her hand in her pocket. And I think Arthur just kind of found it charming and funny.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to find it charming and funny if he had to have lived with her for the entire time that they'd been in love, all these years.
I feel like I'm
in short amounts.
I feel like I'm contradicting myself in this, because I'm saying hurry up and get moving with this story, but on the other hand, when with other stories that do hurry up, I'm saying, come on, let's see this relationship build.
About you.
But
you're saying
it just kind of feels that every scene we see with Evelyn and Arthur, they go to the Rovers, they have drinks, they chat for a bit, and then we don't see them again for months. It just feels very, very, very samey. And I already kind of felt bit of connection between them earlier on.
You're
and
very
I'm still
bad at picking up the subtle differences between things. You keep saying you said the same thing over and over again. Every single week when we had Jeff and Yasmin go, nothing happened this week.
Yeah,
and
then
I'd point out that something significant had happened.
So what has happened this week? Enlighten me.
The significance is that Evelyn is no longer on her best behaviour around him, and she's not trying to be sweet and light, and her mask has slipped. But he doesn't mind. He's seen her being an annoying cow and trying to be penny pinch and get mad about the answers to a quiz and be petty. And he still kind of thinks it's funny and sweet and charming and likes her.
Okay, you're right. I didn't pick that up. That makes sense.
Thanks.
Okay, right. And that's it. Okay, it felt like we got through Street Talk very, very quickly this week. But as I said, I wasn't particularly enamoured by very much of what went on this week. Tonight's couple of twists in the Peter and Carla story and the Daniel story did take me by surprise, I suppose, which was good.
I tell you what, I did get, like I said before about this story, that the Peter and Carla felt very fan servicey, and all the Carla and Peter fans, I was just watching this going, this was kind of written for you guys, because you had Carla standing up for herself, Peter coming in as the white knight,
great protector, yeah.
and Roy there going, oh, don't forget everybody, Carla's my girl, and here's a funny quirky thing about Carla, she's got a Barbie alarm clock, and also look, she's skinny but she eats pizza just like a normal person. You know what I mean? It just felt very fan servicey. Yeah, and I'm not saying it in a negative way.
No, but, I know what you mean.
It did feel a bit like fan bait.
Yeah.
But that's good, because a lot of the time I think you have these little micro fan bases for different characters or relationships, and often they complain that they haven't got anything to watch, and because they're so focused on one or two people.
I am going to give this week's Coronation Street I'm going to give it 3.
Yeah,
three dinosaur-shaped nuggets out of 5.
I'm giving it 3 Barbie alarm clocks.
I did think that as I was going into tonight's episode, I was thinking this week is really, really not grabbing me. This might be like a 2 or a 2.5 this week. So I think tonight's twist did turn it around. But I'm hoping for. I just want to get something to get my pulse racing a bit more next week, maybe. Character of the week. It seems like Carla's the easy choice, and she did, especially when she stood up for herself and rang that bell tonight. But
it certainly wouldn't have been my choice until we got the Friday scene where she basically told them
I think it is either
scenarios.
Carla or Peter, to be honest. Or maybe Roy.
Oh, maybe I will pick Peter. I don't know, no, because he wasn't really... It was only really on Friday when he became the focus of...
Yeah. But the fact that he reacted
Intrigue.
so well to Carla's what could have been a devastating blow
but it
to
was
him, although he
like-
did used to be married to a prostitute, so he's probably used to...
Well, I mean, both of them, they're no strangers to sneaking around behind other people's backs.
Yeah.
And it's not like she had an affair or cheated, was it? She used her body to buy herself somewhere to live.
But she was... I think she was, officially going out with Peter at the time. I can't
He
remember
told
exactly.
her that she had been raped, and I think
Yeah.
that you can argue that was the case. She was taken advantage of. And
Yeah,
it
we
wasn't
didn't
a fair,
we didn't discuss that, did we?
It wasn't a fair. She.
No.
There's obviously lots of layers about should sex ever be a transaction, and accepting money is one thing, and
Nikki thinks so.
And I think that if a woman has to sleep with you to get to live somewhere, that is rape, isn't it? Because she's not accepting it for anything other than survival, and that seems very disgusting to me.
Well, it seems
I
that
don't think
Jordan
many-
was the type to have...
Yeah, I don't think many men would want to argue
Preyed
with me
upon her.
about their right to extort sex from women in return for a house. I would hope so. And if there were, I would hope they're not listening to this podcast.
It makes me wonder, though, if he's done it with Carla, who else is he doing it to? Has he got some kind of
Oh, he must have. He must.
like a harem out there?
Well, he must. It seems like a sort of fairly standard thing.
Mm.
I would hope that she got checked when. Well, no, I'm being serious. When she, I would hope that she got checked.
Yeah. So are we going with Peter?
I'm going with Carla.
You go with
You have Carla. I'll have Carla and you have Peter.
Okay then. Between us, Carla and Peter are our characters of the week, and we both got 3 out of 5 in the week. So, is what I say to this week's Corrie. I hope the next week's
There was
better.
still
But you know what?
plenty
We're going to have
to
Shona
enjoy.
back next week. We're hopefully going to have some Yasmin in court. I've got a feeling it's going to be a bit better. And what I did like about this week is it felt fresh in that there was some new stories. The Carla and Peter thing is like, oh, got something new this week. And the Daniels, none, they weren't just continuations of long-running stories. So
Yeah, and also I am like, oh, wonder what's going to happen.
yeah.
What's going to happen with Peter? What's going to happen with Daniel and this girl, if anything? Is Faye going to discover something, or is she going to become a minion of Jeff?
Yeah. So maybe this week was just the setup to that, and it's all gonna hit the fan next week.
Hooray!
Hooray!